things take place. You know, I'm going to speak on that a little bit. Since the discussion is on ideologies, which the actual definition for ideologies is it's based on your political beliefs as well as your economic. You know, so people don't really understand semantics or actual wording to things. You know, words are very powerful. Words are spells. You know, so you have people that say, "Oh, well, learn to respect the other person." Like, see, the respect is something that you have to. It's not something you demand. You don't demand the respect of other people. It's not something you demand. I'm sorry, but it's something you command naturally. Something you exude from your being. You know, what you hear on here is a lot of nonsensical talking points. You know, especially with people putting words together that don't make any sense, that don't belong together. To construct something or to sound like they're more important than what they actually are. But we're going to touch on that. Just give me a second. The spiritual side of the game. When you look at that bullshit and then the pivot, I mean, that came from a video that I made. It said why guys are scared to talk to girls. I had locked it up because, I had mentioned towards the end, people that I'm no longer affiliated with, you know, and I mean, numbers were doing pretty good, but I don't really care about that. Sometimes you have to be really mindful of who you mention, what you mention in the process, because as I said before, two things are for certain. As we know that women will eventually go left, and guys will fold on you. You know, so pretty interesting. So anyways, my first question to you, so in what aspects have you tapped into your spiritual side of the game? And you know, and more importantly, what is game to you, and what is spirituality? You know, according to scripture, if I'm reading these chapters, correctly, I don't think God is actually playing with anybody. So I don't understand where the game takes place. You know, then I remember you quoting, that you need game in order to deal with business. It's just funny. This is someone that has never owned a business in his life. You said you need game to own a business, right? You need game to deal with money. Okay. And he said you need game to deal with the opposite sex. So, so I guess my question to you, so what, I would say in your experience, do you have that actually validates that point? And what business that you own that you can actually prove that point? I mean, what sector are you in that you actually need game to run a business, or that you need game to manage money, or to really even manage a female? As we said, and God amongst men for that, you need abilities. See, abilities is a little bit more connected to spirituality than actual game. See, game is about having an advantage, right? And abilities is about having advantage points. You get what I'm saying? Another thing, I like to say, do you mind, I would say elaborating on a typical scenario that you have, on a day-to-day basis that you need game to excel in your business, or with, managing money, or, accumulating wealth. I mean, a lot of things you just have to really weigh in. What's going on, Michael Young? How you feeling, brother? You know, another question I like to pose to you. Do you mind elaborating on how and why you need game for, a regular chick that goes to work, that's not involved in any type of street activities? Why do you need game to interact with her? Can you provide me with that example? Or maybe it's just, yeah, an appeal basis, you know? Can you also provide me with an example of what you've seen, or, actually, you know what she's seen in you, right? To, trust your example, or trust, you know, what you're doing, or to trust your leadership. More importantly, what is leadership to you? Can you actually recall a time, when a female actually respected your authority? And, more importantly, what is the difference between authority and power? Can you explain the differences, how it actually works in your life? And more importantly, why should a woman, even listen to you? And what are the benefits of listening to you? Um, yeah, what are actually the benefits of listening to you, and how do you, or how are you, different from other guys? You know, these are some really interesting questions to oppose, right? You know, and more importantly, what does game have to do with spirituality? What is spirituality to you? And what is game to you? Now, you said it's a strategy, right? Spirituality and strategy are two entirely different things. Can you show me that in any of the ancient scrolls where there's actually strategy and spirituality? I last recall when I read it, it's about being, you know. And what is spirituality to you? I mean, can you answer that question? What is actual spirituality to you? You talk about spiritual things. What are the spiritual things? Now, as I said before, you don't need game. What you need to have is abilities. And as far as you said, you need game for emotions. Not really. You need discipline, emotional resolve, emotional competence. Because when you have that, right, that will keep you from overreacting when you hear something, or backtracking when you're presented with a challenge. Just like the time where you basically jumped on the stage without, any self-awareness or awareness of the people that you're involved with, and you end up getting admonished. You know, every woman is not really the same. And you learned that lesson. You try to come on there and said, you should respect me. Why should a woman respect you? And you said, every man can be a king, but every woman can't be a queen, which is complete bullshit. You know, what you know, what made you king? How are you a king? What gave you that space? As I said before, you don't have to demand anything. It's about what you command, and that's based on your being. As I said, as within, so without. Now, in each situation, I've seen you flop and bullshit. Because you play with life and you're full of shit. So you can get away with things, with your audience because they're slow to believe, slow to learn, slow to grasp things. You know, you couldn't do that, on my panel in front of my crowd because, they're going to challenge you. You know, now you're going to talk about lower vibrations? Nah, homie, I'm operating at a higher power than you, easily. That's why you're trying to do your best rendition of me. I mean, you really think about it. Like, how am I operating a lower tier, right? Well, why were you trying to imitate me? You know. Now let's talk about success. We're going to stay on the YouTube standpoint, right? You've been here for 12 years, right? and I've been here for 2. Now, it took you what? You got to 1,000 subscribers about a year and a half ago, and that's through assistance, through someone else's connections, resources, and panel. And I left that and bet against myself with about 178 subscribers, and I had to build my channel through being shadow banned and blackballed by your handler. That's one of the people, 97% of the time, and yet I've lapped you quite a few times. I'm definitely beating you in views and in subscribers easily. You know, just on a whim. What's going on, Emma? How you feeling? Just on the whim of things. You see how easy this is? So, how are you more successful than me? I actually did better without your handler. You can't do nothing without your handler. You know? And that little, 100 some odd subscribers, I actually did that on my own. Because I was barely on the panel. And when I was on there, I didn't say anything. I built everything block by block. You know? See, a lot of people think that I'm a genius because of what I say on here. But, what actually makes me a genius is how I move. Through the difficulty, through the terrains, through the bullshit, through the jealousies, through the envies. I still managed to make my channel a respectable one, and your highest views that you had was with Pimp God, and he was basically talking majority of the time, and you were just sitting there looking like a fan, saying nothing, looking sweeter than a Patty's pie, you know. You feel me? Then then we were getting to your second high scores. You were actually talking about me when you tried to ambush me, and the funny thing about that is that you had a name brand individual in your channel, and you flopped the second time around. Now there's a difference between having to be around name brand content creators versus making name brand content creators. It's like, for example, you have Coca-Cola at McDonald's and you have Coca-Cola at 7-Eleven. It tastes entirely different. Why is that? And as you see the elevation level, each stream that I did, it was better than the last, continually. And going back to the Coke, different tastes, the different experiences, what my vibration creates, right? It brings out the best of the people around me. So it's kind of like I'm like Michael Jordan and LeBron James at the same time. It's like I have LeBron James' abilities and Michael Jordan's heart. Because you talking about you need game for business, which is stupid. You don't need game for business. You need abilities. You don't need game to handle money. You need abilities. You need game to deal with women. You need abilities, discipline, and psychological fortitude. Dum dum. How is it I'm teaching you how to be a man and you're older than me? That's a really good question. But anyways, this has been